I see a nation where over 85 million of our people are either uninsured or underinsured.
Senator Bernie Sanders gave a national address on the state of America's working class, and he did what he does best. He provided a voice for Americans who have been victimized with crippling medical debt. Let's hear more of what he has to say.
And as all of you know, we are the only major country on earth not to guarantee health care to all people. I see a nation where unbelievably over 500,000 people go bankrupt each year because of medically related debt. You got that? You were sick, you had a cancer operation, and you know what you get? You go bankrupt as a result.
That's right. That is a reality for countless Americans. And in fact, tens of thousands of Americans die every year as a result of not having adequate health care to take care of their ailments. Now, many avoid preventative care because of its costs, and as a result, they end up in hospitals with their illnesses progressing to a point where it's either far more costly to get treatment, or they've kind of passed their illness has gotten to a point, it's progressed to a point where there isn't much that doctors can do. But medical debt is a very real problem in this country, especially when it comes to retirees, people who are on a fixed income, who can pretty much lose everything they saved, their entire nest egg, if they have an illness that is too costly to treat. Now, a new poll by Gallup provides more insight into this. As US residents face soaring prices for private insurance, the percentage of them forgoing medical services as a result of the costs climbed 12 points in just 1 year, from 26% in 2021 to 38% in 2022. Here is a Gallup poll graph showing you that spike of the 38% in just 1 year. So of those who reported postponing treatment last year, 27% of them said that they or a family member did so for a very or somewhat serious condition. Even that, by the way, is 9 points up from the previous year. This mostly affects, as you guys can imagine, people who are, of lower income, people who don't really have much disposable income, don't have much in terms of savings. And even people who are making as much as $100,000 a year are feeling this issue, not to the same extent as lower income individuals, but let's keep it real. With the rising healthcare costs, with inflation tied to corporate price gouging, with the insane cost of housing, all of this stuff plays a role in making life unaffordable in America. But once you put the broken healthcare system into the mix, it makes it even more untenable, really. So let's talk about that a little bit. In 2022, Americans with an annual household income under $40,000 were nearly twice as likely as those with an income of $100,000 or more to say someone in their family delayed medical care for a serious condition, 34% versus 18% respectively. Those with an income between $40,000 and less than $100,000 were similar to those in the lowest income group when it comes to postponing care, with 29% doing so. In fact, this is a point that I've brought up many times on the show because I think it's important to really face reality here. Americans have the same life expectancy as Cubans. The reason why is Cuba, even with its lack of resources, even with the embargo that the United States has implemented against Cuba, even with the United States stating that Cuba is a state sponsor of terror, which prevents other countries from doing trade and business with Cuba, Cuba still has a comparable life expectancy rate to Americans because they focus most of their energy on preventative health care. They don't have the resources to treat illnesses that have progressed past a certain point. So they know that preventative health care is critical in keeping people alive in their country. In America, you ain't got health insurance, you ain't got the resources to pay for preventative care, you can kick rocks, you're on your own. And so we're we find ourselves in this situation where, again, America, one of the richest countries in the world, has a life expectancy that's comparable to Cuba, one of the poorest countries in the world. Think about that. Now, Elizabeth Benjamin, co-founder of Healthcare for All New York campaign, explains just how insurance companies cripple patients with medical debt. Let's watch.
We know from the credit reporting agencies that 58% of debt that's on people's credit reports is medical debt. I think what's most distressing about this is how this medical debt is getting incurred over 5 years from 2015 to 2020 by looking at every single county court, civil small claims court record that they had sued 53,000 patients. This phenomena is also have been found in other states. Wisconsin, for example, there was a big analysis out there that was published in Health Affairs. But what we've seen is that these nonprofit hospitals, which are bound by IRS rules to not take extraordinary debt collection actions, but these suing people is quite extraordinary by the IRS rules. But not only do they sue people and sue kind of a lot of people at huge volume, but also that's not good enough. They were charging 9% interest when the interest rates were 1%. They were going after people's homes by putting liens on people's homes, which ruins someone's, credit.
You have nonprofit hospitals suing patients for their inability to pay astronomical medical bills. They're placing liens on Americans' homes. Do they consider that maybe these Americans aren't paying their medical bills because they can't afford them? So further ruining their lives by putting liens on their homes. And then again, these are nonprofit hospitals we're talking about. That's how broken this system really is. Now, at the same time, polling for provisions and legislation like Medicare for All remains very high. Here's a recent headline from Common Dreams. As centrist House Democrats attack Medicare for All, Fox News poll shows 72% of voters want government-run healthcare plan. Interesting. That is a Fox News poll. Just let that sink in for a second. Americans have a lot more in common than corporate media would have you believe. Every American, regardless of their political affiliation, wants the same thing. They want happy, healthy lives. They want their children to thrive. They want safe communities. The thing is, we're so focused on fighting each other based on the manufactured wars that people in positions of power basically bait us with. So while Americans are dying because they're not getting the preventative health care they need due to its astronomical costs, we're talking about transgender athletes in high school sports. And you have red states passing laws on that when those same legislators can't name a single transgender athlete that inspired the legislation in the first place. But let's keep fighting about that. Let's keep fighting about Drag Queen Story Hour, because that's the most important thing that's happening in the country, while your family members are either crippled with medical debt or dying because they're not getting the medical care that they need. We need to really refocus our priorities on things that matter, rather than feeding into the fear mongering, rather than buying the fear mongering that the political elite try to bait us with. How about we reject that garbage, actually respect our fellow Americans, regardless of what their identity is, and actually fight together for a better system that actually takes care of the American people, rather than basically destroy their lives with, again, crippling debt or insufficient medical care because of lack of resources and lack of funds that a patient might be dealing with. One of the richest countries in the world, and it's embarrassing how we allow people to suffer here. Year after year, decade after decade, things need to change.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges, You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.